In this video, we're going to talk about process costing. This is the costing system that is used by the vast majority of manufacturers. Process costing is used by companies that make what they call homogeneous products. So they mass produce a good where any two items of that particular nature are exactly the same. Coke is a very easy example of this. There's no difference between any Coke bottle that you get out of a vending machine or a grocery store in central New York than there would be in New York City, than there would be in a foreign country. For the most part, they're all exactly the same units that come across. And Coke doesn't make one bottle start to finish and then make the next and make the next. They make millions upon millions of bottles, batch by batch by batch, in a standard form process, creating that finished good. And most companies that have homogeneous products that would use process costing do make small items like that, so like bottles of Coke or a phone case or anything along those lines. But there are companies that make big ticket items like Airbus that would use the same setup. That plane in that picture on the right side is an Airbus A320 used by most of the airlines that operate within the United States. But an Airbus A320 for JetBlue or Virgin or whatever you want to have, US Air, and they're all exactly the same. So while they're not mass producing a bunch of small little items, those big items that they're making are still homogeneous, and they're still made in the same manufacturing process over and over again. And Airbus gets its framing, they put the fuselage, the outside over the framing, they add the wings, they add the engine. There's a step-by-step procedure to create those goods. This is taken right from Coca-Cola's 10K. How does Coca-Cola manufacture their finished product? Well, they use a three-step process. In the first step, they treat the water to make sure that it's perfectly reasonable to use it in a soft drink. So they go through, they test it for its microbiological safety. They go in and they use natural salts. They put additives in it to make it what it's supposed to be for a finished bottle of Coke. After that water has been treated, some of it is sent off to the next phase of production, which is the syrup production phase, where they take that now treated water, add to it all of the things in here that make Coke what Coke is. So the syrup that is used to give it its Coke flavoring is added in these batches. They make a concentrated syrup that when the rest of the treated water is added to, they're going to have a finished product. They're going to fill this finished product, and that's the third stage of production, filling and production. So they take the water and the simple syrup, they mix it with carbon dioxide, and they put it in a bottle so you have a nice bubbly fizzy soft drink. So when Coke is making big old batches of thousands and thousands of bottles of Coke at any one given time, all of these units in that big old batch are following this same three-step process, and each step has its own unique costs. In the water treatment, all of those additives that are added in there, all of the labor costs that they have to pay for the people to test the water, they're all unique costs to the water treatment process. In syrup production, all of the costs of the syrup or materials that are added that are unique to that department. The people that operate the machines that do that would be the laborers that are unique to that department. And when it finally gets transferred to be filled and carbonated, that's what I'm looking for, at the end step, there's unique costs that go into that as well. So in this phase, there are three processes. Each process has its unique cost, and to figure out what the total cost of making any one given bottle of Coke is, you have to account for all the costs that went into treating the water, and then putting the treated water into a syrup that you can use, and then carbonating that syrup and mixing it with more water and bottling it and filling it in production. So in process costing, you identify the steps in your process, and as units being produced, as your whip goes through those different phases, costs are constantly being accumulated to the inventory that you're manufacturing. So for this example that I'm going to have in this lecture, we're going to be the Chew Easy Peanut Butter Company. We're going to make jars of peanut butter. Chew Easy is going to use a two-step process in doing so. They're going to first prepare the peanuts to be made into jars of peanut butter, and then they're going to jar and fill peanut butter jars in the end. It probably wouldn't be two phases of production in real practice for making peanut butter. Maybe it's like a 4 or 5 step process, but the more steps you have in your process of creating inventory, the more and more things you need to account for. It's not anything new that is different from doing a two-step process. It's just more and more steps. You have to do the same procedure over and over and over again. So for the purpose of managerial accounting, I find it easy enough to do a two-step phase of production, because if you can do this for a two-step process, you can do it for a 5-step process, a 15-step process, and a 20-step process, etc. This video that you're seeing on the screen in front of you right now is from a TV show called How It's Made, and it shows you in detail how peanut butter jars are made. I will put the link in the description if you want to watch it to kind of get a visual of the things that I'm talking about for the rest of the PowerPoint. Please do so.